Hello everybody, and welcome to day 67 of the Road to 2K on chess.com. Today we're sitting at 1879, and we're going to jump right into our 10-minute game. Today we get an 1872 from Brazil, and they lead with e4. So we're going to go into the Caro-Kann. Recently in a few of my games, I've been kind of getting my tush handed to me in the Caro-Kann, so that hasn't been the most fun. And here, it looks like we kind of have a transposition into what we're used to playing. So let's play the Botvinnik-Karls variation with c5. After the bishop comes out, I think we're just going to go ahead and develop knight to c6. And here, I believe the move is e6 to try and win this pawn back. Now, bishop to e3 is a move. But our opponent opts to defend their e-pawn. I don't see an immediate downside to taking the pawn on c5, so we're going to do that. And now, in this position, what if I play my knight to e7? This comes out. I assume that b4 is the idea. So let's play knight to g6 first. The bishop comes back. And now, what's stopping me from taking this? I guess this check. So let's castle. Our opponent does play b4. So let's play bishop to e7. After b5, I kind of like the idea of takes. But then this... But bishop captures knight, pawn captures knight, bishop captures bishop, pawn captures pawn. We capture here. If they take, we take, they take. And this is what we've lost. Knight, rook, pawn. So I actually think I like that variation. Let's take with bishop captures f3. They can take. At that point, we take their bishop. And if they take our bishop, this knight comes in. So we're going to take here. And now, I think just b captures c6. And the position feels completely fine to me. If I play queen to b6, they do have rook over. If I play queen to c7, I'm putting more pressure on the pawn. Maybe we'll play rook to b6, gets us in some sticky situations with this pawn. I don't really know what I want to do here. I could try and trade the bishops off. And actually, that does force the bishops off. And I think that queen takes is probably the stronger move of the two. And we're really right now just trying to play up the pawn is really all I'm doing. I don't love knight takes because of this move. But that allows us to take once. And maybe now we play... Excuse me, man. My cough still hasn't quite gone away. Let's play rook to b8. So our opponent does go there. I don't see any reason to not play queen into the position with queen a5, targeting these two pawns. This rook is still under attack. The knight comes in, attacking here. I could take here. Rook comes in, but I take here first. I don't see any reason not to play queen captures c3. Like I said, if rook comes over to c1, actually not even that, I can just take the knight. But I think this is probably the stronger conversion. And our opponent just resigns after hanging the second pawn. I think I would have played on. There's still definitely some complications to the position. But let's look at the game review and see how he actually did. Alrighty, y'all. So today we played with an 85.7 and our opponent played with a 76.4. As you can see from the eval bar, I don't think this was resignable, but we're going to take wins where we can get them. So in the game, e4, c6, knight f3, d5, e5, bishop g4, really just trying to restrict the knight. After d4, we can transpose into the Botvinnik-Karls variation with c5. And what I was talking about here is assuming we imagine a little bit more standard play, where they take, we bring our knight out, and they bring their knight out. Or I guess even from here, if they were to play like knight c3, bishop out, this position is what the Botvinnik-Karls variation looks like. And this is what we got into, which I believe is the exact same if we go variation. Now, bishop to e2 didn't feel correct, but so we played knight to c6, d captures c, we played e6, trying to develop our dark square bishop. Our opponent played bishop to f4. What I was talking about in-game was I thought that they might be able to play bishop to e3, defending the pawn. Here, I can probably take this bishop captures and then have knight captures e5. There's always some complications with the opponent getting to this light square complex, but when the bishop comes over, it does make it much more difficult to do that. But bishop to f4, so we took the pawn, and now the material is back to being equal. After castles, we played knight to g to e7, and I believe the move it's saying that we could have played here is maybe queen to b6, or if it says there's a fork, but I don't really see the fork. I have to imagine it starts with bishop captures, and then this would lead us to maybe now queen to b6. All right, what's the follow-up? Bishop in, and then we take the pawn. And the idea here is the bishop attacks b2 and attacks the e5 pawn. So I did not quite see that. Instead, what happened in the game is we played knight g to e7, and after c3, we saw the threat of b4, but we chose to ignore it and play knight to g6, tempoing the dark square bishop. After the bishop moves back, we castled, which is apparently the wrong move. I do think that maybe a move like a5 helps to control the square. Otherwise, we probably could have just snapped off the knight right away and then gone for this position with knight captures e5. And actually, I guess knight g captures is slightly better, and that way we can activate our queen. But nonetheless, after we castled b4, bishop to e7, and b5, we did find the correct variation with bishop captures f3, b captures c6. And what I was talking about here is our opponent could go into this variation where they take the pawn, at which point we take the queen. They're going to have to take this. And here, I think you just go ahead, take back the queen, allow them to recapture. And this position looks completely winning for black. I mean, you're up the queen for a rook. Well, queen, knight, bishop for rook, knight, bishop. So Alas, our opponent calculates out. They opt to take our bishop on e2. We took back the pawn, knight to d2, bishop to h4, trading this off. And after they chose to not do anything, we just took the dark square bishop and damaged their kingside pawns. Rook b8 gets us on the open file. Queen to a5 creates some threats. And after knight to d4, we take the free pawn, attacks on the knight. And what I was talking about in the game is initially what I was thinking is if they play rook f to c1, I was going to play the intermezzo rook captures b1 first. And if they take back, then and only then do I take the knight. And it precludes them from being able to take the queen, because after this, the rook is pinned. So that was kind of my big idea. However, like we said, our opponent resigned. I think it's definitely still playable. I've lost positions like this easily, so I would have played on. But GG's to our opponent. If you have comments on how we played, definitely leave it on down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and then finally check below, make sure that you're subscribed, and that just helps to make sure that you don't miss any of my future content. And on that note, I will see you guys on the next episode.